Today's episode of Patina Code is brought to you by Joe's Racing Products, celebrating 30 years of industry-leading innovation for whatever you need on or off the track. Joe's Racing Products, accelerating performance. Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Dennis, and welcome to a special episode of Patina Code. Today, I'm going to talk to you about how I'm going to take an expansion tank and use it as an overflow tank. I'm going to talk about the differences between the expansion tank and the overflow tank, and I'm also going to talk about the company that manufactures and produces the particular expansion tank that I'm going to be using here today, right here in the United States of America. But first, I'm going to give everybody that's new to Patina Code the rundown on what we got going on. As you can see in the background, this is the bare metal rat rod pickup truck named Zero. It's a 1956 Chevrolet Task Force pickup truck, and nearing the point of completion, there are a few things left that need to be done, and one of those are the overflow tank. So, what are the differences between an overflow tank and an expansion tank? Let's have a look at it. In my hands, just your common old school everyday overflow tank. If you notice in the top of the cap, there's a nipple. From this nipple, there was a hose that ran across to the nipple that's at the top of the radiator neck. When the coolant got hot and expanded, it would come up, pass through that hose into here, fill up in this jug, thus keeping the coolant off the ground. When the motor cooled off, it would suck the fluid back out, put it back into the radiator, re-entering and replenishing your coolant system. And it did that by way of what I like to call the straw. And that's your basic overflow tank. The expansion tank. Now, before we even go into detail on the expansion tank, I want you to check out the details on the expansion tank. Look at those welds. That's fully hand TIG welded and manufactured in the United States of America. I wish I could weld that good. This beautiful tank is made by Joe's Racing Products. Joe's Racing Products has been around for 30 years. They employ 40 people and they have a 24,000 square foot facility. And you mean to tell me that you can hang around making race products for 30 years with the way that the economy fluctuates? That's saying something. That's staying power, baby. So if you're interested in this tank, it's going to cost you $100. But for the sheer beauty and the handmade craftsmanship of this tank, it's worth every penny. It's worth every penny to me, or else I wouldn't have it in my hands. And it's better than that old plastic jug that you would have stuck up there on the fender. But seriously, if you're interested in this or what else they may have to offer you, hit them up today. You can hit them up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can even go to Google, type in www.joesracing.com. Pull up their page. You can request a free catalog, have a browser. Just look at it while you're there on the internet page. You're going to see something in there that you want. You're going to see something in there that you need. You definitely are going to see some stuff in there that you like. Okay, so what is the expansion tank? What does it do? How does it perform? What is its purpose? What's its importance? Let me break it down. The expansion tank allows you to expand or increase the overall capacity of coolant that you can have in your cooling system. When you add an expansion tank to your cooling system, you instantly increase the overall efficiency of your motor by giving it more coolant. This, unlike the overflow tank, is actually part of your cooling system. The overall amount of fluid that's in here circulates through your cooling system and works in part with that, unlike the overflow tank. The overflow tank is just there to catch the expelled liquid once the pressure is risen and it's pushed out, and then it will be siphoned back into the system once it's cooled down. It doesn't add anything. It just prevents you from losing any coolant. This works with your cooling system and actually will help it. So if I was going to plumb this as an expansion tank in my early motor, doesn't matter, 6-cylinder V8, this is how I would do it. This upper port would come and run all the way across over to the radiator fill neck nipple. This lower port would be plumbed either to the water pump or to the lower radiator hose. Here's a makeshift diagram. You can see the water exiting from the water neck, running to the upper port in the expansion tank, and then the water returning to the system from the lower port in the expansion tank, making its way to the lower radiator hose. And finally, what I would do if I was using this as an expansion tank, there's a port up here in the fill neck. And what this is in the expansion tank form is to let air escape. If pressure begins to mount inside the tank, air would be able to escape and you would not be sucking it back through your coolant system. And we all know that's bad news. The type of cap that you would use would be a non-pressured cap. Go out and look at your modern day car. It has an expansion tank on it. It's made of all plastic and it's got a black plastic cap. If you look closely at the cap, you'll be able to see a little pinhole, and that's the vent to let any pressure out if it begins to mount inside the tank. If it doesn't have a little pinhole in the cap somewhere, there's an orifice somewhere on that tank to ventilate it, to keep pressure from gaining inside of your tank. And that's how you would install an expansion tank. So now that we know the difference between an overflow tank and an expansion tank, I'm going to take you over to Zero, let you check out the installation that I have using the expansion tank as an overflow tank. Okay, real quick, I'm going to go over how I'm going to be converting this expansion tank into your basic overflow tank. So the expansion tank has 3 ports. You have one here at the bottom, you have one here at the top, and then you come around here to the top of the fill neck, and there's another port. The port that is here on the bottom is where we will lead the hose up to our radiator neck spout. That's gonna kick out the overflow and come into here. This upper port will be blocked off, and then for the overflow, in the event that we do get an overflow situation, this is be where the overflow will run out and go out into the atmosphere. So it's really quite simple, and it's just a few fittings that I have to put in, and then I got to run my line and hoses to the other orifices on the radiator neck. But that's the simple conversion for this expansion tank to be turned into an overflow tank. So right away, looking at the engine bay of Zero and the way it's all set up and designed, you have to know I was not gonna run that plastic tank on this truck. So for those of you who follow me on Instagram, you may know of the Got Shop or the Got Rod. And the Got Rod is a rat rod built by Greg Gott. Greg Gott is the GM of Joe's Racing Products. So I instantly thought of him when I was wanting to come up with a solution for a cool looking overflow tank. I didn't want a cylinder or anything like that. I just wanted something that looked fabricated and just looked like, you know, nice, just pow, and it fit with what was going on. He's familiar with the truck. I told him what I was trying to do. He says, hey man, check this out, check this out. I say, I like that one. He says, all right. So the thing I like most about dealing with him and dealing with Joe's Racing Products is that when I first came to him with the question of, could I use this expansion tank as an overflow tank? He wasn't like, no man, you can't do that. Or you could try, but I don't know. He was like, look man, you can do it. This is all you have to do. Let me know how it turns out. I'm like, shoot, you got it, buddy. So, bought the tank. Here we are, put it on. I knew that it could probably work, but I didn't know if it was like specialized, specific to only perform in one way. And then when I started looking and researching, I was like, it's just like that tank, except for it has the ports and the extra orifices. But I went over how we're going to use that to our advantage as far as being an overflow tank, so there's nothing to worry about. I hope this video was helpful. If you got any questions about anything you've seen here, or you got any questions about the expansion tank, feel free to leave your comments. You also go to Joe's Racing, hit them up. Their tech is awesome. Their people there are awesome. It's not like they bring the stuff in and just sell it to you. They're actually making the stuff there, and that's a big plus. And for all of you patriotic people, it's made right here in the United States of America. I mean, you can't get any better than that, man. I'm proud to have the product on my truck, and in the next build, there's gonna be a whole lot more of Joe's Racing Products on that truck. You can believe that. So, thanks for watching. Stay with me.